Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible and all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your romantic, courteous hosts. Joining me, as always, is our other romantic and courteous host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the
What
crack?
is what does courteous mean?
Sorry,
I feel dumber like every week when I'm like, what is that? What the fuck does that mean, Andy?
I think I mispronounced it. It's courteous,
Courteous.
courteous. Yes,
Courteous.
courteous. Yes. So I just
We're
butchered
not
it completely.
courtesans,
We're not
right?
courtesans now. If only. What a lucrative trade that would be to be in.
Right.
Um, because it was like, I was looking at other sort of romantic sort of synonyms, and it was hard to get any that were like, you know, good to be on theme topic with our
Right.
subject for today,
Right.
so
Right.
it's fine, right? I mean, that'll work. You'll get it, you'll like it. That's not the bad, obviously, that's the you listeners.
To the listeners.
Joking. I'm joking, I love you all.
And
Um,
watchers.
and
We're
watchers
getting
as
views.
well,
We're
that's
getting
true.
views on YouTube. They're watching our videos.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
What's the
So
crack with you
the
this
crack,
week? Mm-hmm.
I saw the new Ghostbusters movie
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it. And I also watched it's just like the nostalgia of like the firehouse. I don't care if it's like Mike always calls it nostalgic
Nostalgia porn.
cash grab.
Yeah, it's nostalgia
Um
porn. Yeah,
right. Nostalgia porn, very apropos for for our topic today. But
true.
yeah, so like I love it all. I love it all. I love it all. I grew up, with the Ghostbusters and
I
like
understand. Yeah, me too.
it's a great, like I let the kids write the Easter Bunny letters asking for they get to ask for two things.
Hmm.
Um and then that way they get like the same I think they get the same amount of candy and like
Smart.
amazing prizes from whatever. But Charlie was like, I want a Spangler costume. And I was like, I'm fucking parenting so
Hell yeah,
well.
that's
He
great.
wants to be Egon
I like
Spangler.
that he wanted to be Egon. That's the best. That's so great.
I
I
know.
love it.
And he's like, and I want the proton pack. And I was like, yes.
It's so good.
But then last night we watched the new Roadhouse movie with Jake
Oh,
Gyllenhaal.
uh-huh.
Hard thumbs
I've
down.
heard it's not great. Yeah, and I
It's
mean, like,
horrible. It's horrible. And your boy
Conor McGregor. I don't want
yeah,
to be
man.
associated with that guy.
Okay, well, yeah, no one does really.
No.
I think just based on news reports, but
Yep.
not maybe an unpopular opinion, but not needs to work on his acting chops
Yeah.
a wee bit.
I don't think he shouldn't. Like when I saw him, I was like, what? He's not an actor. What's he doing in there? It's just for name recognition, I guess,
Yeah.
and him
Yeah.
trying
I
to
mean, he
like,
was really in it like a lot. And every time Mike's just like sunk like he just got back from Japan and was like totally jet lagged. And I was like, let's watch Roadhouse. And he's
and he's
like,
like,
okay.
here's an R of Conor McGregor.
Right.
Hooray. Um, yeah, that sucks.
Uh-huh.
I
What's the crack with you?
so I also had a movie. So I watched a movie of the weekend. I'd say if I was to
Was
ask
it
you,
Amadeus?
no, it was not Amadeus. But I'd say if I was to ask you to guess what movie I watched at the weekend, we would be here all night. There's not a chance you would figure it out.
Okay.
But what I was watching was Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
What is that?
It's about this sort of it's in like the late 1950s, and this lady she finds out that her husband died in the war. She's been kind of holding out hope that he's going to come back to her one day, finds out that he's dead. So she then decides to what she's going to do with the rest of her life, and she's one of the lady that she's a cleaner, and one of the ladies she cleans for has a Christian Dior dress, and she's like, I want a Christian Dior dress. So she flies to Paris to buy a Christian Dior dress, and hijinks happen. And it was really entertaining, very heartwarming, very lovely. Like it was very kind of
What
surface level, but it
where's
was really
where
quite sweet.
where were you watching this?
At home. So,
No, but like what is it like Netflix or
oh, I think it was Prime.
okay.
Kind of want to say.
Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so
I
what I
love I
Hmm.
love period movies.
Yes, I think you'll dig it. It's really
Okay.
nice, and I really loved. I thought the emotional, part of it was really good, and it really kind of connected with me. But what I did was halfway through, I took a Helldivers 2 break, and then I went back and watched the second half, and I was like, how many other people in the world are pairing Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris with Helldivers 2? I wonder. I hope more people than me, but I think not many.
Yeah,
But that was great.
that's fabulous.
Yes, very much so. But yeah, apart from that, just as I was talking about earlier, looking for work, it's a demoralizing experience, but I'm getting there. It's also because, I still a fully adult man and don't know what I want to do when I grow up, It doesn't help.
Nobody, even people that are working and have like full-time jobs, they don't know what they want to do
That's
when
true.
they grow up.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I think most
I
of the
know
people,
like I know like one person probably that knows what the no, maybe two that know what they want to do when they grow up.
that's good.
And I know a lot of adults because I'm an adult
Yeah,
and there are other adults around me and like literally like none of them really enjoy or know or
yeah,
like or
yeah.
want.
That makes me feel better, actually,
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting, and it's just being out there self-employed is a better situation, certainly for me, than being employed in a full-time job. I never ever want to really do a job interview ever again. I never want to give somebody a CV, or what do you call them, CVs or
We
resumes,
call them
or yeah,
CVs or resumes. Yeah.
yeah.
The higher up you get, it's a CV. The lower the position, it's a resume.
It's a resume. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I hate all that process, and yeah, so we'll see what happens. But like, and this is the thing, but it's like it goes back to that the Army of Darkness comparison I said to you. People like warm to me and like
Yes.
me, so they want to like do stuff with me, but I'm kind of like, as I say, like pressing my hand on their face and just pushing them away is my instinct. So
Yeah.
it's just about navigating that. So it's fun.
It's like your worst nightmare.
Yeah, no. You like me? What's wrong? Gross.
I
Go away. I mean, which really feeds into our topic for today.
know. I
Um,
do have some stuff that's occurring.
okay.
So I think that this is the only like not only transatlantic podcast, but like two people in two different countries podcast.
Hmm.
Like I've searched and I
Oh,
can't find
interesting.
any other podcasts that are like two people in two different countries like talking
Oh, that's
about.
wild. That's great.
So I'm like, I think
We've got a niche,
we're
yeah.
yeah, we're like a one of a kind.
We need to figure out a way to like, how do we push that angle in that case? Yeah. Okay.
I'm working on it. Well, I like
Okay.
just updated the website to say like the only transatlantic podcast in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I love
But
it. That's
like,
great. It's
but I
perfect.
and then like, but not only that, like how do you describe like the only yeah, like two people, two different country. I don't know. I'm working on
Yeah.
the spin.
It's like I suppose it is true because I guess not a lot of people have the opportunity to make friends from different parts
Hmm.
of the world, and also like because we've got a close bond, and I think that comes across. So yeah, just to sum it up, if you're listening right now, how lucky you are
Right?
to have such a lovely to be able to share in such a
This is
lovely
like
friendship.
right experience that very few people get to or yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Yeah, it
So
is. It is.
so
So
good
you're
job.
welcome.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
And then we were ripping on Star Wars a couple weeks ago,
Uh-huh.
and someone I'm quoting, y'all talking like you wrote Dune and her salty Star Wars got hot, LOL.
That's a good comment.
I know, right?
Maybe I
And
did
I
rate
liked
Jen.
it. And then Utilikilts followed us.
Oh yes. Oh
So
wow. This is the
yeah.
kind of
And
traction
liked
I
our
am
post about
looking
them.
for. Please send me a Utilikil
I
for
know Andy needs
sponsorship. I do
one.
need one, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
think I'm thinking about like, talking about money woes earlier on, and now I'm thinking, am I going to buy one in the next few weeks? It's a
right,
possibility.
right, right, right. They're so
Summer
cool.
summer season's coming around. I like the air around my legs.
Yeah, and like I followed them on Instagram and they have like entire companies where that's their uniform.
Oh wow,
I'm
okay.
learning a lot about Utilikilts.
That's
Yeah,
great.
they're just fucking cool.
Yeah,
So they have like all these promo shots of like this like one company. It's all like dudes with no shirts on, like wearing their Utilikilts. And I'm like, yeah, this is awesome.
that is
This is
great.
where it's at.
I love
So
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a what's occurring, which is one of my friends was really thrilled because I think this is right. He asked if you'd met Richard Donner. Have you met
Richard.
Richard Donner, the
Um,
film producer? Who was the or
oh, of Superman?
yes,
Yes, I
you
did. I
have.
worked with him.
That
Mhm.
was it. Yes, it was. Yeah. Yes, and also
Not
what was it?
Richard Donner.
Not Richard Donner. The director was
Uh,
it? Yeah,
um,
good podcasting.
the one with Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
So the director of that movie, I think it was Robert something. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm
No,
looking at
that
my
one was directed by
Was
Richard
it?
Donner. Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
yeah, I did. I
Okay,
did.
awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Very
worked
cool.
with him on this movie called Feast of Love
Okay.
with that was with Morgan Freeman and Selma Blair and the guy that was in I don't remember. But it was like, yeah, it was a full cast and he was like in his 70s
Mm,
and very, very sweet. And you know, they were I think it was like his golden years.
yeah,
And it was based on a book and
yeah.
but yeah, so I did. And he was very was that cool? Is
That
that
was cool. That's very cool.
do I get
Yeah.
some points?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Some nerd cred for sure.
Totally.
For
Totally.
sure. Awesome. That's all I had for what's occurring. So we move into our subject for
So I
this
feel
for
bad I didn't
today.
remember his name. I thought it was Robert for some
Yeah,
reason.
I mean, but they have to worry about
I
it.
know. I've
Fine.
worked with
He,
so many movie
I was gonna
stars and
say, so
directors
anyway,
that I
yeah,
can't even
all
remember
your
them all.
the movers and shakers of the movie industry.
No, that was
Beth,
like a decade and a half ago.
Hollywood Beth, they call it.
That was a lifetime ago.
Yeah. All right, folks. So we're just gonna move on, I think, now to do you have anything else before we do?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Let's
Uh,
hop on to the
to the
topic.
topic today. So the topic today is about dating, and our episode title is The Dating Experts. I remember this week because it's so correct. Beth and I will give you all a dating masterclass right now.
That's right. That's right.
Um,
How to
but
date
how to date, yeah.
or not at all.
Yeah, or yeah, more to the point. But like I think it's interesting because it's something that I mean, of course, people talk about it, but I think people talk about it
Mhm,
in a very kind of generic way and
mhm,
very kind of surface level way. Certainly from my perspective, it always there seems to be a very uniform way that people think about dating, even taking into account how awkward the whole process is. There seems to be a very kind of singular focus in the whole of the whole sort of subject. So we just want to like dig down into that and see where we go.
mhm. Getting vulnerable,
Getting vulnerable like we always do.
like we
Uh
always do
I
every
mean like
week.
the end result for me is hopefully it'll help me,
Right,
So
right.
so we'll see what happens. Um but I suppose I mean do you want to lead off or is there any thoughts on how to get started or
Yeah, I just kind of want to, I mean, we're coming at this from different um life
yes.
experiences, but I do want to talk a little bit about like our dating history
Hmm.
and like are you a monogamist? Are you a serial monogamist like
100%.
me? Like,
Yeah.
right? And so I guess like how many relationships have you been in?
In terms of substantial long-term ones, I'd
Mhm.
say um four. Four big ones.
That's that's significant.
Yeah, I think so. Four kind of ones of any real sort of kind of substance, I would say. I mean, there's been other stuff here and there, but like that certainly has been, yeah, four big ones, four ones that spanned more than a year, so more than a year or
Hmm.
two,
Hmm.
so yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but very much a serial monogamist. Just because I like it, it's such a comfort to me whenever I'm in a relationship because I'm like, oh, thank God the pressure's off. I mean, it's also, even in the world, whenever I know like a woman I'm talking to is like married or like dating somebody, I'm like, oh, thank God, that takes all of that off the table. I don't need to worry about that. No, no stress here. Which is probably a bad way as a single man to look at these things, but
No, actually, that
yeah.
is lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a married woman, like not being hit on or like having someone like having surreptitious like ideas
Yeah.
is so nice.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how nice it is
That's
because
good.
I've had people in my life that have been like, you know, not caring about the fact that I'm married and like being gross.
I
And
think that's awful.
it's,
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
so disrespectful to everyone involved. I hate that shit. I really do.
Uh,
But like certainly there have been certain people in my life, and maybe not like anybody who I guess is super like this, I don't tend to stay connected to for long. But I've known guys that are like constantly commenting about women's appearance, certain body parts and et cetera, et cetera. And it all feels really gross to me, to be honest.
mhm.
I mean, like I think of that, but I think I go really hard the other direction as a result, which is not, I mean, I think maybe not even a happy medium, a happy like quarter way point sort of thing, to kind of to be there. But it's and I've seen and I've had female friends and I've seen how uncomfortable men have made them. And I've seen like guys like essentially like force kisses on women and things like that. It's just in clubs and stuff, and I'm just like that fucking sucks. And I think then I was like, I don't think I would ever be that guy anyway, but I think I've always really kind of pushed hard to stay so far away from that.
Mhm. So, can I ask how long it's been since you've been in a serious relationship?
Yes. Let me just do the maths on that quickly. I think it's 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is because it was my last big one who you know about. I'm not going to talk about her right now,
No, it's
but
fine.
I
So you were single when I met you in 2019
yes, we
in
had
Costa
just. Oh
Rica.
wait, so 2019. So that is 4 years. That is 4 years. No, it's
Yeah.
2024. Oh my Lord, 5 years nearly then.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
5 years nearly then. Good
Okay.
Lord. Because we had that relationship had fallen apart in the February, March of that year, and then I came and I did my YGT training June, July, was
June,
it?
July.
July.
Yeah.
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 So yeah.
Okay. And then I guess like I want to know a little bit about what it's like to date in Ireland.
hmm
And like, are there like societal norms or like, is it just sloppy drunk like it is
There's a
here?
lot of that. Yes, I think that is that is how a lot of relationships are formed. Certainly, within the circle of people that I know, it was, met on a dance floor, a few drinks were had, like yeah, and I think I know we've talked about this before. I feel like generally speaking, people in the UK are kind of more tightly wound, more reserved than certainly Americans would be, and it kind of you need that sort of alcohol, like a social catalyst to kind of make things happen. Um, which sucks. It's terrible. That's the reality of it, but it's all too often the case. And like guys who kind of don't. I always kind of looked on with suspicion. I feel like probably some of other people would as well. That they were like, lecherous or, pervs or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah. So here it's, it depends on kind of like what time frame in your life you're dating. And I think it's, it's different. Like college was sloppy and, you know, I think back on
Yeah.
like the dating that I did and it was just a little bit hedonistic, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I was in a I've had, I think I've had like 5 boyfriends in my whole life.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Like, right, like more than like 3 months or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, 2 serious relationships. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. But like Mike and I have been together for 16 years,
Yeah.
married for 14.
Yeah.
So, but like all my relationships have been like it started as a friendship and then turned into something else.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is like the same for you.
Very much so. And I think because like, I'm not great at meeting people, and I don't, I've never been a sort of there's people who are kind of like the life and the soul of the party sort of things and are very gregarious and like, doing whatever. And that's never been me. And I've never really been like even my friendships. I mean, the white our teacher training was a different thing, I think, just because of
Hmm.
like the pressure cooker nature of that and
Hmm.
the stuff that we were doing there. But like by and large, a lot of my friends even have been like a slow burn. It's been time I've spent with them, like, either through work or through, knowing other people or other social things. And, even within like my yoga studio that I go to a lot of the time, like so many of them, they don't hear a word out of me. I just don't talk that much. I don't really like to insert myself. I don't really like to, be like, here's what I think about things. If people ask me, cool. But I'm not really going to start a conversation too often. So it's not great. I'm not great at meeting people. Meeting people romantically is even a step above that as far as I look at it. So it's really tough to kind of bridge that gap.
Like when you meet people, are you thinking like, oh, like this, like,
Yeah.
do you go into it thinking like this could turn into something romantic?
I
Or are you
don't
just like doing the push away thing?
I think I'm doing the push away thing mostly. I don't think so. No. I think like, I mean, in terms of there's like, it's self-esteem issues or whatever. I think I've written down here like I don't really read signs very well. I've never like social cues are always a kind of struggle for me. Like I think and even but the absence of those are even worse. Like I hate texts and stuff. They're so, informal and cold, and um like I need the being around people either phone calls are better because I can hear the tone of somebody's voice, but like even in person with those social cues and stuff, it's oftentimes I won't read things well, like and it'll be like months later I'll be like, shit, was she interested in me?
And I'm like, yes.
uh you dumbass. And that
That
like,
was her
hey,
waiting for you to ask for her number.
yeah. And I think it's happened a lot. I think I like, and I mean, I think I've said to you before, I think I have definitely been in like emotional sort of affairs that I just, at all times in my head, I think that sort of voice, that sort of anxiety voice is there most of the time. And most of the
Mhm.
time it's like, in any situation, friendship or romance or whatever, it's like, are you serious? Why would that person like you? That sort of thing.
Mm.
So it's like, several massive hurdles to get past, before I even get to that state, to the stage where I would like be interested in somebody. And I think for me to even take the leap in the past with relationships I've had, it had to be very clearly said to me by mutual friends, they are interested in you. And I'm like, okay, 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 okay. I wouldn't come to that conclusion on my own too often, which
Mhm.
is frustrating. But yeah.
So I get the sense that you think that the way you are is like detrimental to your dating life or like isn't a positive thing.
Yes, I mean, like I can, on paper see my good aspects and my positive aspects. Sometimes I can definitely, and like I see why I would be somebody that people might be interested in. But out in the world, like it's more of a like a in the lab sort of theory. Whenever it hits
Yeah.
reality, it's kind of tough to. um still kind of believe in that, I think,
it's so I'm sorry, but like
No, 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 sorry.
it's so refreshing to hear a man that is s- you're so self-aware
Mm,
that, and you're not gross, and you're
mm,
not lecherous, and you're not grabby, and you're not, you're just really like a kind human being who is so
thank you.
careful
Hmm.
with other people's feelings and your own.
Yeah,
And I don't see it as being detrimental at all. I think it's sweet and kind and loving, and like there's so I'm like I might cry. Like I'm
thank you.
sorry, but for real, like
Yeah, I know. I
it's
appreciate that.
so rare, Andy.
I know. I know.
It's so rare, and like I don't want you to see that as being like detrimental
I know.
at
I
all, because it's a superpower.
Yeah,
And like for the lucky person that like falls in love with you and you fall in love with, oh my gosh, like oh my gosh,
I know.
that
I
treat,
know. I
so I'm just
thank you.
here to like I'm trying to flip the script for you a little bit
Yeah,
to show you what I see, which is, someone who really is one of the kindest, sweetest human beings that I know. I'm sorry, I'm crying,
thank
but
you. I really appreciate that. That's
fuck you,
really
Andy.
kind.
Fuck
I
you for
know.
making me cry. Fuck you for
Yes.
being so
But it's
nice.
on the pod cry. That's what we're looking for. No, thank you. And I really appreciate that, and I do, and I see it sometimes, but I just can't live in that reality, and it's kind of really, I don't know, it's just, and it's part of, certainly it's part of what we were talking about last week as well, with the whole sort
Yeah.
of me trying to get my mental health in better shape, because, I want to date again, I want to meet somebody, I feel I have always felt better in my life when I have a partner.
I mean, that's human nature
It is. It's true. It's true. Just somebody who has your
for
back.
most people.
Yeah. I think certainly with, my most recent long-term relationship, and it's probably one of the reasons why I have avoided relationships so much, that um they really hurt me, because like the person I was dating, I really, I really believed they had my back, and I shared with her a lot more than other relationships I've had. So this felt like the real thing. So then whenever it kind of went wrong, it really, really hurt. It really, really did. So so it's just taken me a long time to kind of rebound from that. Like Beth,
Yeah.
at last year when I saw Beth in Portugal, she said, have you forgiven? Oh, was it you or was it Katie? Well, somebody asked me, have you forgiven her yet? And I went, no. And like
Oh yeah,
immediately,
that was Katie.
that's Katie.
No.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a wise question. It's not me.
It was a good one. I was like, it's immediately. I was like, no. And I was like, oh, that's a problematic, because,
Mhm.
it just came out straight away. No thought immediately. It was there. But that was an interesting one. I have a sort of a story in terms of me sort of being awkward, and dealing with the reality of things. I don't know how I've told you this. I told you a little bit about it because I think I sent you a picture. So whenever I went after I saw you in Portland 2 years
Uh-huh.
ago,
Uh-huh.
I went down to LA, and I stayed with some like friends of friends who I'd never met before in LA, and they were so lovely. They were just great people. They were so kind to me and really looked out for me, and we got on really well. Like I was able to go on a big hike. So it was a couple, and they had kids. I went a hike with the guy, and he was awesome. And the mother, she like worked in schools and stuff like that. So she was like about during the day, and I would see her, and we all got on so well, so it was so nice. And she was like, "We're thinking about going out dancing one night," and it happened to be on the same day as my birthday. And I was like, "Okay, cool, let's do it. That sounds like fun." And in there, it was like I have not really been to an American club before, nor have I had American pours of liquor. So it was like
Oh,
I was getting like, I was like, can I have a whiskey,
we don't
please?
measure our shots here.
Yeah. I and I was like, I'll just stick to whiskeys because I know beers really kind of mess me up and it will make me bloated and not like fill me with energy. But like I got really, really drunk. I mean, we all did. And like there was like everybody was like, grinding and stuff on the dance floor. And I was just like, I don't even
Yeah.
know where to start with the whole grinding politics. I don't want to be grinding on somebody if I don't want it. I want to avoid all of it. It's but so I was just kind of, sipping whiskey. I was having a wee bit of a dance, but it wasn't like, dancing up on anyone. It was just kind of like enjoying myself.
Yeah. I remember like going to senior prom, so it's like when you're like 17 or 18 and
Hmm.
seeing people like dry humping on the floor,
Yeah.
basically. And I was just like, what? And then I got into raving, and like when you rave, you
Yeah.
don't touch anyone else's
Yeah.
bodies. And so like that just became my thing. I'm like, I don't touch people when I dance. So when
Yeah.
people would come up and be like, "Do you want to dance?" I'd be like, I don't touch other people when I dance.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's a thing. It's a thing.
It's
And
yeah,
now it's like twerking and like
yeah.
just like the grind. I'm like, it's weird.
I suppose as well, like I mean, it also speaks to, obviously I am, even then I was a man in my 40s,
Like,
going to a
yeah.
club where people were
It's like
grinding.
that's how you get pink eye. Like
It's true. And I'm just like, oh, it's like a comedy Brit in America going, oh, like my monocle dropping out into my cup of tea.
With your slack jaw, like, oh.
So yeah, but it was a fun night nonetheless. I really had a good time. But that was just, that was a very extreme version of, what dating or I guess meeting people is like.
Yeah, I mean that's like
Yeah, it's a whole other minefield, right?
uh-huh, uh-huh. So can I ask, like, what do you like about being in a relationship?
Um, I just like having somebody there. I like, I have always like, I really like waking up next to somebody, really a lot. And there's something really kind of, you know, what's the word? Like it's a sense of security, I guess,
Like, yeah, intimacy.
Yeah, yeah. And just that, just kind of like, and here's a weird one, right? And it takes time, I think, but I kind of love when I get to a stage with somebody that we can be silent whenever we don't have anything to say, but whenever we talk, we could just talk and talk and talk, and it's there's that sort of being able to be silent with somebody and it feels okay is pretty fantastic, I think.
Mhm. Do you want to try it right now? I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's this silence. There's silent 30 minutes for the podcast fans. Yeah,
Right.
I love it.
Um, what else do you like about being in a relationship?
I think that I'm gonna put this question back to you in a minute because I feel like I've been
Mm.
talking too much
No,
about
it's
me.
good.
Um, so I think I like having somebody to do things with. Like, do you know me in terms of like I'm like, oh, what's this strange and wonderful thing that I've never heard of before? Let's go and do that. I love having somebody who is excited about those things and wants to like explore new stuff as well. That's always been kind of and like it's something I miss whenever I'm looking at things that are not, the standard stuff that I would do with a lot of my friends. I have some people who I can go to who I can be like, here's this weird shit. Are you in? And they'll be like, hell yeah, like no questions
Yeah.
asked. But all too often with a lot of my friends, it's like, oh, what is it? What sort of thing is it? And I'm like, I don't know. That's why I'm going. So I like having somebody who, is excited about learning new things or exploring new things. Um, I yeah, it's just that, like I think I said earlier, somebody having my back, like, and that doesn't mean that we won't argue or fight sometimes, but like somebody that even, when that happens, you can, reset. It's still, things are still okay. Um, yeah, yeah, those are the things that I kind of like and miss, and I think I'm just better overall whenever I am dating somebody. I think it's just a better fit for me.
Mhm.
I think I'm just so like I get so lonely so quickly. It's like
Mhm.
whenever you have somebody there, even if they're not in the same room, even if you're going to get to see them later, it's like it really helps. I mean, like right now it's Sasha. So at least I get to see her occasionally, or not occasionally. That I scrubbed off from the record. I see her all the time. That sounds like I'm
I was like, wait a minute.
I'm a negligent doggy daddy. No, I see her all the time. She's sick of me.
She's like,
Ugh,
Andy, dad, oh dad,
here he goes again.
he's hugging me again.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, leave me alone. Oh, no, Papa, I don't like the cuddles, etc. Um, what about you? What sort of things do you like in a relationship?
Now that I'm in a good one,
Yeah, this is it. Yeah,
um, I like, oh, sorry. I like, I I guess the things specifically I like about Mike are that he's full of adventure,
yeah,
and like the things that we do sometimes, like and are the times, like we have kids now, so like the times that we have where we're just like it's just us and we go out for a drink, and like we come up with a that's usually when we're like, yeah, we're gonna go to Burning Man this year, and then we're gonna go here and like dive this, and
yeah.
like some of the adventures we've had, like I can't
That's awesome.
even,
Yeah,
it's just like so far out there, and like the stories that we have, and like the life that we, especially like with the time, like I've known the guy since I was 13 or
yeah.
14. We
Mm.
didn't date until like we were in our 20s and 30s. Because he was like off like living in
Yeah,
fabulous places around the world and like being a dive instructor. Um, and I was like working too hard. um,
yeah,
but like I think like having just that security of like having someone that not only has my back, but would probably like murder someone for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like on his birthday cake, it's always like 40 years and no jail time, like,
yeah.
he's got that in him, and I
Yeah.
find that to be very attractive.
Hmm.
Um, which is super messed up, I know. Just
Yeah.
like
But there's something
having,
about that, like
yeah,
passion. Yeah, there is.
yeah,
I totally
yeah.
know what you mean.
He's
Hmm.
he's very cool, calm, and collected, but
Yes.
like very passionate
Yeah.
um about things that he's passionate about.
Yeah.
Um I think just like laughing with someone and like sharing a sense
Yeah.
of humor with someone, and like inside jokes are like my favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
And we have so many, right? Like that I can just like say like two words and he'll know exactly what I mean and like what it's
That's
referencing to, and like like
so nice.
it's just that feeling of being close to someone,
Yeah.
and
Th-
really like it is nice, you know, 16 years later, that we're like he just got home from Japan, and like we're sharing, he's like, I wish I could, like he wishes that I was able to see the things that he was seeing,
Yeah.
and be able to
That's
share
nice.
share those things, right? So
Hmm.
he's a good dude. And
Yes.
like I was in a relationship prior where it was like I was being gaslit,
Yeah.
and it was really bad. It was really bad. It was like abusive kind
Yeah.
of. And like, so I know like what a bad partner is, and I know
Yeah.
what a good partner is. And I'm just like really grateful for the partner that I have.
No, I think that's really fantastic, and yeah, I think that, and it's not. I'm really happy that you've found that as well, because I think it can be
Mhm.
hard sometimes for a lot of people, so it's awesome. I'm really
Yeah.
happy.
And like full disclosure, I was married to this other person
Hmm.
for like we were together for 6 years and married for like 3. Um, and it was such a bad idea.
Yeah,
It was such a bad idea. Oh,
but it takes hindsight to see that a lot of the time, doesn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
yeah. And it's like that's how far down that road I went. I was just like, I will follow this like bad idea all the way to down all the way down the aisle, and
Uh,
then like doing it again and having a second chance to do it right.
yeah.
Like I really did. I really did. And I
No, that's
think
awesome.
the thing that I did that um is advice that I'll give to people or you is
Hmm.
that like with my previous relationship, I was like, I can change this person, I can change this person, I can change this person. If I try, if I work harder in this area, like if I try, if I put in the effort. And with Mike, I was like, I am not going to tell him to do anything. I'm not going to give him advice on anything.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see if he makes the right choice.
Yeah.
And literally 100% of the time, he always makes the choice that I would make.
That's
So like we
awesome.
don't even have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So if they make like you can't change people and like just let people like surprise you pleasantly. And if they continue to do that, then it's probably the right person.
I like that. That's good advice. Yeah. I think, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah. I really do like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's it's such an interesting thing to navigate, and it's such an it's I am kind of a little bit addicted to Reddit these days, and
Me
things
too.
like
You got me into it.
I sound so sorry. So like, am I the asshole is
Am I the asshole? It's
such
so good.
it's so incredible, but like there's so many situations where you're like and people will be like, "Oh, some of them are fake or whatever," but there's definitely some real stuff in there, and some of the relationships people are in, and you're like, holy shit!" How did this happen? How did it get this far? This is borderline abuse, like mental abuse, and all sorts of awful stuff. And it is, I suppose, kind of inspiring to me because I'm like, all right, okay, I'm not even close to these people. So and they're somehow having relationships, so I can do it too. But it's like it's just such a kind of and I've seen relationships in my actual life with people who like um have got married. I think had relationships, got married, not because it was somebody they were in love with and they wanted to marry, but because they thought that they should get married and this was the path that they needed to go on and blah blah blah. And you know they don't seem to like each other. It's yeah, it sucks. I a good friend of mine, he works in he works in a job and he works with a load of other people and in the office, and it's mostly men. And he talks about, and I think it's a fairly common trope, probably in the US as well. It's like her indoors sort of thing. Oh, I guess I'm going to have to do something for the wife and all this. And he found a
Yes.
lot of
The
that.
old ball and
The old
chain.
ball and chain, exactly. And he found a lot of that from people. But like somebody asked him directly, and he was like, "Oh, I don't really know. I quite like what I like my wife." And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what a nice response. He's like, "I like spending time with her." It
Like
sucks for you
she's
guys which
yeah,
is how it should be.
yeah. Like
But
boys' night.
yeah,
Like and like Mike goes on Vegas weekends with the boys,
yeah,
and I'm like, great, have fun,
yeah,
enjoy. And like sometimes he's like, you should have come. Like it would have been way more fun if
yeah,
you were there. And I'm like, I know,
yeah, of
because
course.
I'm awesome.
Yeah.
So
But I and I think like as much as they bicker, I mean, because they've been married for however many years, but my folks, I think one of the secrets to their relationship kind of lasting as long as it has done is that they have always had very kind of full separate lives from each other, as well as like lives together. And
Mhm.
and I think kind of the secret to their success in terms of like they're both coming to into their 70s, and they are still like fully switched on, active, they are engaged, they, have lives where I've seen other people retire and just start declining immediately because
Yeah,
the structure of their life was their work, which is
yeah.
an awful thought to me as well.
Well, good thing you're not worried about that.
Yeah,
That.
yeah, no, good job. I've got no job to worry about in that regard. It's
You
so
have
funny.
jobs, you just have like 40 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I'm a Renaissance man. Uh,
Right?
I, one of the things I think, sort of, you're talking about this, the whole sort of, get married thing because you're like doubling down. You're like, this isn't working, but let's try marriage and see what happens. And I think that is so common. People going, well, this isn't working. Let's get married. Okay, well, this isn't working. Let's get a dog. Well, this isn't working. Let's have a kid.
Yes.
But it doesn't fix things. It just kind of
No.
adds other
More stress.
complications, yeah, stress and yeah, it is kind of baffling. But I think people are so reluctant to walk away from stuff when it isn't working because even if it's bad, it's something, and that I think in some people's minds is better than nothing. And it's, yeah,
I think it's also like people are afraid of change
yes,
and like
yes,
changing, especially if you're living with someone, like changing living with someone to not living with them anymore. And like
yeah,
it's separating of household, like it's so difficult. And then to throw like the the legality of being married on top of that,
yeah.
it's quite something.
It really is. It really is. Just making things even more difficult. Yeah, because
Yeah.
something I had written down was like it is fear of change. Like it really is. It's such a, yeah. Um,
So can I ask like what you are if if you could have a long-term partner, what would that like what qualities would that person have?
um, they'd have to be kind. They'd have to like be engaged, I think, in terms of like, want to, as much as I like, talk about mental problems and stuff like that and whatever, and I'm quite down on myself and, life generally, I love, you know, what is out there to explore. I want somebody who kind of would want to explore that with me, is excited about new things and, you know, um, new experiences and stuff like that. I think, those things are pretty key to me.
And they'd
Um,
have to love your podcast
they'd have to love my podcast. They'd have to love my dog.
and your dog.
I mean, like, how could you not?
I
But like,
know.
and this is it. Like, I don't need people to like my hobbies or anything necessarily, or and like, you're not going to get that to a lot of extents. I just want somebody who's like on the same page as me, gives a shit about me would be awesome.
Yeah.
And I would give a shit about them, somebody who I'm invested in, and I want to make it work, and we both kind of feel that way. We're both like in this together, and let's make this work.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's like Mike has hobbies that I'm totally like I have hobbies that he's totally unconnected to, and he
Yeah.
has hobbies like he builds cars,
Mm.
like re takes them apart and puts them back together, and like I I do that with him occasionally, but not with the insanity that he does.
Yeah, because like even when I was there and we were hanging out and he was on the phone looking at cars and showing you pictures
Uh-huh.
of
Uh-huh.
cars.
Uh-huh. Do you like this one or this
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
this one. He's like, really? Like I always pick the wrong one.
Uh, but yeah, it's
Um,
nice.
I know. So my ideal partner for you, I think would
Hmm.
be someone that like has someone that's kind, someone that
Yes.
has like common interests, but also, that excitement about life and like, eagerness to explore new things,
Yeah.
someone that's trustworthy,
Yes.
someone that likes dogs,
Yeah.
and, just like a nice human being that's kind and lovable and likable and, is low stress and right, just like a, a nice person.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
that's
they're out there. I
I
know
think
they
so.
are.
I think so. It's just I have to like start doing something about it. And like I think this is, we
What
were
does
talking.
that look like?
Yeah, I know. And like I think, yeah, well, this is exactly it. And we were talking before the podcast started, we were talking about like how, well, I was complaining about the fact that I have so much on all the time, but I at the end of the month I have no money. And I keep like volunteering for other shit because I'm a moron and because I like to keep myself busy. And one of the other things that I want to start doing is start dating again. Um I I think
Do you, do you
mm,
think that you're keeping yourself busy because you're avoiding dating?
I think it could be. It's certainly part of it. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay,
I
what were you gonna say?
I think that like I guess kind of my concern is that like are one of the things as well is that the further away I get from it, the harder that jump seems to be. Like I don't know. And like I've made tentative steps, here and there, and had coffee with people and stuff like that, and whatnot with people I was kind of interested in, but I didn't really follow it up, and not because I didn't. like the person or didn't feel like there might be something there. I just struggled to kind of keep that momentum going. And then I guess when I don't get that from them, I'm like, oh, okay. I'll just kind of, I'm very easily dissuaded, I guess, you know. Um, so yeah, I just don't know. And I like, the funny thing is that like I think that some of the people I have lots of like I have a lot of both male and female friends, and I always kind of worry that you know, if there's somebody who I am interested in who's a friend of mine, I'm like, I don't want to lose them as a friend.
Mhm.
However, everybody who I have ever had that conversation with and it hasn't went anywhere or, whatever, um, we're still friends and we're probably closer,
If
Like
you're that
what
kind of person, people aren't going to want to let you go.
yeah, this is it. This is it,
So banish that
Yeah, that's
thought.
true. That's true. That's true. And like, and I got, so I've got so much evidence to not use that to like put me off.
Mhm.
So yeah, you know, I have kind of, and I'm not going to make any declarations because I just it will just stress me out with the pressure of myself. But I'm kind of like, there are, I had a really nice conversation with a friend on a few weeks ago, and he was like, he's the same age as me and he's like had his difficulties here and there and he's better at like putting himself out there and doing things, and he was just like, just do it, just there's something, there's a few people you even want to reach out to, just reach out to them, start to see what happens and kind of go from there. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to try it in April and we'll see what happens. I mean, like, my trying maybe like half an hour one day and I'm like, oh, I've had enough of this, I hate doing it.
So does that mean like, are you gonna like go like online route? Are you gonna like ask somebody out that like is in your yoga class or
there
like,
there's a few people that I've kind of like, yeah, it's people I've kind of know or I've had like a sort of at least a 10 years connection to, or people that I have not seen in a while. Um, there's a few or somebody like that also that I met recently that I was like, this potentially interesting. And ordinarily I'd just be like, oh well, that was interesting,
la 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 la.
let's move on. I'll try to make the effort to actually, take a few steps forward with that and see where it goes. I
I
also,
think no,
Mhm.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think I will also, I'm also maybe, I don't know if I want to do dating apps because I find everything, I mean, like it's everything I said I hate about like messaging people. It's just that it's awful and it's such a meat market. So much of it is just like, going in pure sort of physical attraction, which is,
Yeah,
obviously important, but like I hate that
no.
that's so
It's like in
broad.
just an app where people are grinding.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It is that. It is that. I'm like, yeah, I don't belong in this grinding pit. I don't want to either. Um, so yeah, but I look, I thought about there are, there's still I did last year, I did speed dating,
Mhm.
and I think I told you about that.
You did.
And that was interesting. I may do that again. There's also like nights where they basically have a like hire like a room in a bar or like a bar and like everybody there is single. So, then the impetus is on you to like go and talk to people.
That's so good.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm going to say I'm going to make more of an effort. This is the year I'm doing it.
And I
We'll s-
think like when so like we talk off pod about like, okay, what are we going to talk about next week or what
Yeah.
are we going to talk about tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how
Or what our schedule's like.
it's
Yeah.
usually Andy that's like, we need to pick a topic. But the fact that you were like, I want to talk about dating,
Yeah.
and you said it to me like when we were done recording last week, and I was
Yeah.
like, he's like, this is the year. This is the
Yeah.
year. If the fact that you wanted to talk about it on pod, I was like, fuck yes.
It's
He's
true.
like, this is means like he's really serious. He's
Yeah.
putting it out for the whole world. Like that this is
It's true.
you're setting an intention.
I am setting an intention. Yeah, that's true. This is true. And I suppose like putting it out on a podcast is even
Right.
more, it's going to light even more of a fire under me,
I
which is kind of,
know.
which I think I need,
You
I
do.
do.
You do.
So
And really it's like you've been doing the things, but you already pinpointed it for yourself where you're like, but I don't follow up.
yeah,
So that's the piece where it's
that's
like,
true.
had a great time. Would you like to go out? Even if you don't really like dig them,
Yeah.
I
See, who
don't,
knows?
not
Yeah.
everybody likes me for the first like
Mhm.
3 hours that they talk to me, but maybe,
Exactly. Yeah, that 6 hours the sweet spot. Yeah, I know what you mean. And
yeah,
I
that fourth day of yoga teacher training.
yeah, that was it. That was it.
Once I'm done crying.
That was when the magic happened. Yeah. Uh, I suppose I just need, it's just like being generally better at talking to people. Like, because it's so funny. Like some of the like ladies who I go to yoga class with, and then when I like covered those classes, and they're like, "This is the most we've ever heard you talk." You know?
Really?
Yeah. Like for so many people in
But
my
you're
life.
chatty. I don't, that's a,
There are like two halves to me in that regard. There are some people who only know me as this quiet lad in the corner, and there are
Mhm,
people who are like, when they hear that, are like, "What are you talking about?" Because when they know me, that they know that I like to chat. I like. I suppose I just really hate surface level chat. I just really hate the whole sort of. So, weather's been bad today, and I'm like, yeah.
mhm,
And I'm like, yeah, I guess it has. But I mean,
mhm.
it just feels like talking because you want to say something rather than you have something to say?
Yeah, I hate it. I'm like, what do you love about life? What do you hate
Yes.
about your life?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like,
My name's Beth.
whoa. Yeah. And I've locked the door, so you can't,
Right?
you need to give me an answer immediately. It's so good. And it sounded like, and this is going to sound like arrogance, but I remember reading about, there was an interview about Oppenheimer, and they were talking about, is it Kitty, the lady that he married, the Emily Blunt's character,
Mhm.
and how they described her as not liking small talk, only liking big talk. And I was like, I like that.
Yeah.
That sounds like what I kind of, it does sound like, oh God, how's that? I'm not thinking about it as a smart thing. I just feel like the very kind of surface level chat that goes on so much of the time is just, I don't know, window dressing. It's not what I'm interested in.
Mm-mm. No. And like I'm trying to think back to when like when Mike and I like were dating, and it wasn't we'd already had so much history. I think that was
Yeah.
part of it. Like his mom was my client. Um, I'd known him so long, like we'd been friends in high school, but like I think part of it was like we were just like I was so nervous, I was just drunk.
Yeah.
So I just needed the social lubricant.
Yeah.
And he to the point where he was like, "Yeah, I thought you were an alcoholic when we were like first dating." Because we were just, I was so nervous though, because I
Yeah.
liked him. I just knew it's like liked him so much. Um, so I guess when I come see you, what, in a month,
Yeah.
I'll be your wing Beth, and
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, you can be the
I'll be like,
conversational lubricant. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'll
And
be like, "Have you met Andy?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
I'll
I'll
freak
be
some ladies out
uh-huh.
and ask some big questions, and then I'll kick them to your
And I'll
way
be
if I
standing in the
like.
corner with my polo neck
Yes.
and pipe on,
Your
with
monocle.
with a book of philosophy open. Uh,
I'm so proud of you.
thank you.
I
Yeah.
really am. This is huge.
I know it is. It's good. It's good. It's good. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But like the other thing, the big fear of mine, I think, as well, is that, and I don't think I would date somebody like this, is that I start dating somebody and they're like, well, you're not allowed to have any female friends, and I'm like, well, that's
Uh,
going to be a major problem, and I
you
don't
have a lot of
think
female
I
friends.
do.
You have females that you travel with that are
Yeah.
your like best friends, and
Yeah.
like, you do this with me. You have a lot of really good female
I
friends.
do.
And I will say, to Mike's credit, he lets me have I have a lot of male friends,
Yeah.
and he
I,
lets me
I
have those friendships.
as it should be, and if
Not
it's somebody you
lets,
trust, huh? Yeah,
not,
it's somebody you trust. It's
yeah.
it's no big deal. Like, yeah, it's no, I not that. Yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes, he's okay with it. He's cool with it.
He's
Yeah,
cool. He doesn't care.
and that's amazing. And that's what, as it should be, as far as I'm concerned. And like women I've dated in the past have had male friends, and I've been okay with that too. However, in those relationships, the ones who I would when I was cool with them weren't super cool with me having female friends, which was kind of telling in hindsight, you know.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So cool. So okay for you, okay for you, but not okay for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice
Yeah.
double
Yeah. Yeah.
standards.
No bitterness there.
No. I'm totally okay with that. So yeah.
So will you give us updates?
Um, yeah. If I had
Okay.
anything of, I'd say I'm not going to give updates anytime soon. I mean, I'll probably
Okay.
give Beth updates more
Yeah.
regularly than you're going to
I'm
hear on
a
pod.
steel trap though,
That's it.
people.
Exactly. You're not going to get anything out of her.
Nope.
Uh, but I'd say if there's any developments of note, I will absolutely share it in the pod. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say too, if there are things that come up where you're like, "Ooh, this was like successful," or "This didn't work," or
Yeah.
like "This would be beneficial for people,"
Yeah.
like, share it.
I mean, I think it's worth talking. I mean, I think it's a subject worth talking about, which is why we're doing this episode. But like, and I'm always happy to, share my experiences. Part of the reason, and I'm sure we've said this to Sebastian on the podcast, is that we are kind of like we like talking about a lot of this sort of stuff because we feel like hopefully it's going to be helpful to other people who are maybe having similar problems
Yeah.
because, a problem shared is a problem halved or whatever the saying is, like I think it's always useful to me to see when people are going through similar things because I don't feel as alone with it, and I think so if we can, especially in this area, if we can continue on talking about this in the future, and it helps put somebody else out there, then incredible.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
You always say it so eloquently, and I'm like, uh.
Yeah. But like, see, when I'm listening back and I'm listening to my voice, I'm like, oh, you talk such shit, Andrew.
It's not, no,
I
you
know.
don't,
I know. Thank you.
Andrew.
Thank you. Whenever we've been bad, I call myself Andrew
I do.
we've discovered. Um,
Yeah, can't do that with my name.
that's true.
Mm-mm,
But
mm-mm.
like, can you not? We could. Okay, we're gonna have to think of a sort of
Like an,
a long form version of your name. That we can.
yeah. I hate Bethany.
I was gonna say not Bethany, but like we
No,
can come up with a better one. We're not gonna workshop it now. We'll come up with a good one. Like
Clarice.
yes, Clarice. Like I really like giving all my kin friends dogs extended names. Like a Gus is
Yes.
Gustav, and so on. And I've got a friend whose dog's name is Dave, so I always call him David. In a very respectful tone, just nod at him, go David.
Right.
Uh, oh dear. Oh dear. All right, we've
This
descended
is
into
good.
madness. I think, is there anything else you want to talk about? Like, I have actually more stuff written down, but I think we're at a good point to
I
maybe
think we're at a
start.
good point. I think we should, I think, I think relationships in the future would be like a good
Yeah,
conversation. Um, or partnership and like what that looks like.
yeah.
But I think we covered some ground today. So I
I
think
know, I
we're
think we
good at a
did.
good spot. Do
Awesome.
you want to talk about joy?
I do. I've realized that my joy that I've written down is Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. So I've kind of blown my load at the
Mm-hmm.
start. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
I will think about, so I have a podcast that I listen to. I've told you about it before. I've probably talked about it in the pod before, called How Did This Get Made? It's called Blank Check, and they do directors' filmographies. So they are doing the movies of John McTiernan at the minute. And so
Who's
that
that?
guy, he is, you will know multiple of his movies, but his first movie was a nothing really. The second movie he ever made, Die Hard. Then
Oh,
no, wait, Predator, then Die Hard,
oh,
then Hunt for the Red October, and it's like,
okay. These are all like
whoa,
Mike's favorite movies.
yeah. But I think the one he did directly after that, no, he did Medicine Man. Between them, he did his Last Action Hero, which I've never seen.
Was
So I
Medicine Man with Dustin Hoffman?
no, Medicine Man was with Sean Connery. It was like Sean Connery in the jungle with like is a white mane of hair and a white ponytail. Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
supposed to be a terrible movie. I have a memory of like the poster, but I've never seen it. but their kind of podcast about that episode was like, what is this movie? Like what you know, it's there's nothing here at all. But then he made Last Action Hero, which was the kind of
Yes.
Schwarzenegger kind of tongue-in-cheek action movie that kind of didn't go down super well at the time. So I just started watching it at the weekend, and it's so much fun. Like it's because it embraces the fact that it's in like a ridiculous movie style world. It just embraces how OTT and over the top all of that stuff is, and just is having a really good time with it. So
Did you just
I'm
say OTT?
OTT, yeah. You know what it means?
Hashtag. No, I
Hashtag
never
OTT,
heard.
over the top.
Over the top.
Hmm.
Huh.
Which I guess is a wrestling thing. Yeah, it would be.
How do I not know this?
I don't know. I think there is. I'm pretty certain there is.
I mean, we like I we're down with OPP here, but
Yeah, yeah. You know me. You know me. Yeah, yeah. What has been so Last Action Hero, I guess, is what's been bringing me joy over the past,
Awesome.
and also Helldivers 2, which is my obsession. I just like kind of want to be locked into one of those Clockwork Orange chairs and just have Helldivers 2 playing all the
Like
time at the minute.
totally.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
kind
yep,
of
yep.
what I am. A little bit too much at the
It's,
minute, you
it's
know.
actually happening.
Yeah, it is
But
actually
I do it
happening.
to myself.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say two things that brought me joy. One, I'm doing a paint by numbers.
Nice.
Well, there are three things. And I like, but they're really detailed and intricate. So it usually takes me like I'll paint maybe like 2 hours a day and I'll watch like a
Mm.
shitty show or like whatever. So I don't really have to pay attention, but I can like paint. Because I always like having three things going at once. So yelling at the children, painting, and watching a show. Um, and then I did a really cool Indiana Jones Lego. So I
Ooh.
just love Legos. They're
Yeah, so much
so
fun.
good. It's one from the original, the first one.
Uh-huh.
So it's got the
Raiders.
Ark of the Covenant. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's got the Ark of the Covenant, but it's like when they get the Ark out of um the Temple of Souls.
Yep.
Or no, he was in the Temple of Souls, and then that's where he finds the location for
Yep.
the Ark of the Covenant. So it's that, and it's like the wall falls down, and like there's a like the zombies behind or the dead bodies, and Sala is one of the
Yeah.
Legos, and Indiana, and then Marianne Rittenwood. So
Mariam. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yep, yep,
Marian. Yeah, Marian. Yeah,
Marianne,
yeah.
Marianne.
Marian. That's Marian, I think. Yeah.
Yep. It's super cool. And then actually, so Mike went to this like little tiny island off of I can't remember the name of it.
Hmm.
It's there's I didn't know this. Like there are like a smattering of islands off of like I guess like Okinawa would be the general area, but there are
Yeah.
like other islands. So the research that they're doing is it's temperature related. So they dropped these temperature readers in 2019 and then they had to go retrieve them
Hmm.
5 years later. Um, and you basically like you're doing heavy work underwater. It's kind of like underwater construction work.
Hmm.
But he brought his GoPro and he always takes videos of him like waving and like doing things for the kids so they can see like what dad's up to.
Yeah.
But the coral in this remote island that I can't remember the name of is so beautiful.
Mm.
It looked like the lost city of Atlantis. And it's so remote that there's like nobody out there. And just to see like really pristine coral gives me so much joy because
Yeah.
I see so much like dead and like dying and bleached coral
Yeah.
because of, well, the places I go. So just to see like what actual beautiful, I'm gonna send you a photo of it because it's
Please do.
so fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
I
So
love it.
that's a
Okay.
lot of joy
That's a great one.
in
Yeah.
having. Yeah.
I like
So
that's
he
really
showed
cool.
us the videos last night and I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
awesome.
I have to tell you something funny.
Hmm.
He was like, he sent me an email because texting wasn't working because he was too far out there, but he was like, yeah, there was like a giant sea snake and it was swimming at gym. And so I swang at it with my big ass hammer. Classic. I was like, yeah,
I love
man.
it. Was it some Thor shit?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yep.
Oh, does he have a
Yep.
video?
No, but I think he
Oh,
has a video of Jim getting a cockroach in his mask and like freaking out. So
oh
I'm waiting
wow. Okay,
I'm
that
waiting
sounds
on
like a
that.
good one.
I know.
Love it. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad
Yeah.
he had a good
So
time.
he
Yeah,
did.
good.
Lots of food photos and
Yes,
he's like, I don't want rice for dinner. I was like, I got you, girl.
that's very fair. Yeah, yeah. I love it. I
So
did. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. Good joy.
yeah,
Very good joy.
glad he's
Okay.
home. Glad he's home.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet. Okay, dokie, folks. I think we are coming to the end of our episode for this week. So as always, we like you to remind you to well, before we get into the main thing, we'd like to remind you to like and subscribe on
Oh
any of your
yes,
platforms, all those
please check us
things,
out.
please. Would be
Please.
very grateful.
Yep. And we're at bendypodcast.com.
Yeah.
Subscribe, buy merch,
Tell your
send
friends.
us topic ideas.
Yeah,
We are hip to whatever you guys need. So we are
absolutely.
here for you.
Absolutely. Great stuff, guys. So in that case, we'd just like to end our episode as always by reminding you to
Stay Bendy.
Bendy. Outstanding.
I was
Or-
like pretty sure my voice was deeper than yours, but then it
I dare
wasn't.
you.
I was
We're
like,
gonna
I got
we're deleting
it.
this. We're deleting all of this. Bye. We love you.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Okay, good stuff. Awesome.
It was great. It was good.